Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Ghost and Friends YouTube channel. There was a once a time where we were undefeated on this channel as a only a 2-month-old channel, but coming off a first loss for Texas, first loss for the channel, first post-game show following an L. How we doing, guys?
I'm doing, as good as you can be doing on a Sunday. I woke up, I feel good. My tinnitus is ringing still. It was very loud. Yeah, so my tinnitus this morning was pretty rough. I was having a tough time getting out of bed, but I'm feeling better now.
I really kind of talked with you after the game, Ghost. I mean, there were things that I was frustrated with, and I still am frustrated with about how it went down. But I don't know. This is, aside from kind of the Alabama loss, this is probably like I'm really confident in this defense, the way that the defense performs. So I'm not feeling really like, people are like, I have people trolling me on. They're like, oh, I know you're crying. It's like, not really. It's I'm just fine. This team showed enough as long as the offense can fix itself.
How about you, Joseph?
Yeah, I got pasta lunch, so I'm pretty happy. Yeah, I agree with what Nash said. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, man, that's the thing is it only feels worse than it really is. It's because we all hang out on Twitter. and people have ammunition that they think is just absolutely like sending daggers through our core and our souls. But like, Texas is still 6-1. Texas is still a top 5 team in the country. Texas still controls their own destiny in regard to playing for an SEC title game, playing for obviously the college football playoffs. And so, as much as people screamed, last night all through the late hours that we're not SEC ready, are you giving more credit to Georgia in this game for playing some pretty good, damn good defense, or are you just going to chalk up to a really bad Texas offensive night?
I'll go ahead and start. I a little bit of both. I've watched some tape. I haven't been able to watch a lot yet. Georgia did a lot of tricky things. Kirby definitely had he did a good job of disguising his front seven and confusing the offensive line. And I think that the offensive line was confused a lot of the time, which surprised me. There were a couple of times where they were getting beat off the blocks too. I think when we were watching, I said a couple times like, man, our offensive line is we're not getting any traction at all. And I was worried about going to the second half. Like, how are we going to turn this around when it doesn't look like we're being so we can't match physicality. That changed in the second half, which was good to see. I felt like we were able to match physicality in the second half, but there were still like different things that Kirby threw at the offensive line that they just looked confused, and then you have guys just rushing free. But it's stuff that can be cleaned up, right? Like, I think that's the good thing, is it's stuff that can be cleaned up and can be done better. It's not a talent gap question for me. Which during the first half I was kind of nervous. I was like, man, they look like they were pushing us around a little bit and bullying us. But in the second half, we matched physicality level and stuff like that. Yeah, in the first half they were blowing us off the blocks. I that's how I felt. So, but yeah, I think that there's things that can be cleaned up. So, but Georgia, great. It was a great scheme by Georgia as well.
I think that, look, Georgia, they had some more opportunities to get some picks, especially in the fourth quarter. But really, when Texas is turning over the ball, like, there was a minute 23 seconds left on the clock. We have them 3rd and 10, and I'll get to this number here again in a second. But the number 64 is going to haunt me, just like 3rd and 17 haunts me. Because we have them 3rd and 10, stadium is rocking. Like, they tried to bring the ball out, and this is right after we score once. They try to bring the ball out, boom, we just nail them on the 11. 2 plays, nothing, and then the stadium's just amped up right there. And then we let up a 21. We let up like a 21-yard play, and then a 43-yard play right after that. And
back to back.
but to be in that situation after the first half, I mean, like that first half was abysmal. And turning over the ball 3 times, right? For Texas the defense really deserves a lot of credit for how much they fought.
Joseph, what do you got, bub?
Yeah, I mean, our O line wasn't great, but a lot of that was because the Georgia D line played out of their mind. I mean, Gage talks about them disguising a lot of stuff. I mean, they did. Like Ghost, I seen that one video. Like they've got 3 guys coming down, and suddenly they're rushing 6, and like our guards don't know what to do, and suddenly you've got 2 guys on the quarterback within a second. Like I don't know, like we'll talk about Quinn and all that later, I'm sure, but like,
Absolutely.
if you get 7 sacks on your quarterback, that's not really a great sign. You're not really getting a lot of chances to get the ball out. So I think it has a lot to do with Georgia's defense.
Yeah.
And people are going to come in because it's we came in a little overconfident. And, I said myself, like, we run the SEC now, a lot of joking, whatever. Like, people are going to come in saying we're not SEC ready. What other SEC teams have beaten Georgia in the last 3 years, right? Like if you're coming in saying we're not SEC ready, okay, well, show me your Georgia win. So I think we'll be fine. We lost to a team that's won 2 of the 3 last national championships. We'll be fine.
It's just such an easy. Well, sorry, it's just so easy for people to look at Georgia and just say, okay, they haven't been Georgia of old so far this year, and so immediately they're just like, okay, well, Georgia's not who they used to be. They still with Texas, but I mean, they stepped up and played a lot better defense than they have all season. They got to the quarterback better than they have all season. And like, regardless of what anyone says, Texas is a bigger, more talented offensive line than anyone Georgia has played this year, say maybe Alabama. But the way they've looked right now, I mean, I'd still take our O-line. Like, I mean, Georgia played really well, and that's okay.
Look, I'll say this. Like, I think watching it back, the offensive line really didn't do – I think it was more the quarterbacks just were not really – they weren't – like, as much as I said that I think Quinn's going to come in prepared, I just don't think he was necessarily as prepared. Like, even though Sark said, hey, we got extra work on the pass rush coming in, I mean, for a majority of the plays, they were blocked well enough to get the ball out. And you just kind of got to make a decision quicker. And one thing I go back to is that the play where you got Jaden Blue in the flat route. You got to get to him quick, man. And he was wide open. By the time he does that, Jaden Blue is having to turn around, running 20 miles an hour. And it's just it's one of those things. But I just think I'm not saying that this isn't like I'm not trying to discredit anything from Georgia because Georgia earned and they definitely deserve that win. But I don't think this is a case where Texas isn't SEC ready. I just think the offense was not. They just weren't there. They just were not up to par in the first half. I mean, you look at it, 14 yards, dude, from Quinn. You're like, before Arch Manning comes in, we have 14 total yards. And I'm looking up at the board, and I'm watching the defense, and it's like Georgia's averaging 4.2 yards per play. And I'm just like, this is an elite defense. And then this is this feels like a high school offense out there.
We looked in the first half like Oklahoma looked against Texas for the full game. Yep. Like, absolutely no chance there. Like, it just – and like you said, Joseph, you credit Georgia. At the same time, Texas obviously did not perform well. It didn't look like we had a great plan. They eliminated our quick screen game for the most part. I wish we would have thrown at Gunnar Helm 25 times last night because it seemed like every time the ball went Gunner's way, he made a play. But yeah, Georgia, I mean, you have to give Georgia credit. They had been kind of obviously this was my big, and this is why Gage, I told you very personally, like, how scared I was of this game. I told all of you guys at the tailgate, like, I predicted the Texas win because, I felt good about Texas. We've seen Georgia lately, but like, I had Georgia. I told you guys getting out to a hot start. Thought they'd have to play a little bit better offense, but I mean, they stood up to the challenge. They accepted it and bodied us enough in the first half where it kind of was out of reach there for a second. But like, we got 3rd and 10, them pinned on our own 10 man. That stadium was as loud as it was all night. Like at that moment, you know, it was like, this is perfect. You know, 23-0 comeback. Like it's in the book, it's in the storybooks. Like this is how we pick up our first win over a top 5 team in 25 years. Like this is how it happens. And
I mean, I never thought it was out of reach just because of how well the defense played. Like I like, because to me, like every single time we were giving them the ball literally within the 40-yard line, like on our territory, like in field goal range, just every single time. That's where they're starting. And to me, it was just as simple as, if we can just score and then kick the ball and make them start from their 20 or further back, I can trust this defense to go out there and get some more stops, and then we can win the game. But at the end, I think what really happened was the defense just kind of got tired at the end from having to do so much work. I mean, they were shouldering the loads.
Yeah, like you said, like David said in the comments, like Georgia's good enough to where they're going to score. Like Carson Beck is not a world beater, in my opinion, at least. But there's enough talent there between the offensive line, the wide receivers, tight ends. You know, they're going to score. I mean,
this is a really good passing offense that we shut down.
Exactly that. And so, yeah, a lot of people, you know, act like Texas's defense isn't SEC ready. You look at holding Georgia sub 300 yards, the 3 turnovers they forced. I will say this. After Texas made it 23-8, I told Gage, I was like, I don't know if I can see the offense scoring enough. But if we can score on defense, and then like 4 plays later, madness ensues.
Insanity.
Jahdae Barron down the right sideline or down the headed towards the south end zone. Yeah, that crazy moment there. I'll let everybody talk about it. Kind of their thoughts on the play, when the flag was thrown, obviously during the pause, and everything that took place there in between.
Well, I just had also a couple more thoughts. Obviously, the defense played really well. If you would have showed me Georgia's offensive stats, just their offensive stats at the beginning of the game, I'd have been like, man, we are going to have a day. Like, that's correct. Three interceptions. Like, we're having a day, under 300 yards. Like, they ran the ball okay. ETN did, but overall they're 3.9 yards a carry. Like, I felt like they did a decent job, especially in the second half. But yeah, I would have been pretty confident. And then you look at our offensive numbers, and they're pretty miserable. Quinn, we'll talk a little bit more about Quinn later, I'm sure. But yeah, just some of the things, even on those blitzes that they're bringing.
Hold on. We're talking about the play, buddy. We'll talk about all that later. We're talking about the play.
It was a great play by Jahdae. I obviously very much disagree with the pass interference, because if anything, it was offensive pass interference. And Jahdae made a great play on the ball, and I thought it was going to be a touchdown. And obviously, me and you saw the flag immediately, so we're like the only people in our section not celebrating at that point. And then yeah, I didn't appreciate what happened afterwards. I we'll get into it a little bit more, and people may be mad at me for this. Like, I think I have an opinion that people are going to be upset with. The first thing I want to say is that I definitely don't blame the students. There's a lot of, it was the Texas students. First of all, the first couple bottles didn't even come from the Texas students. They came from behind the Georgia bench. And then after that, that's when kind of the Texas students unleashed on it. So I don't blame them. The Texas students were great. They were great before the game. They were great at the game. It was an amazing environment. But unfortunately, like, that was the most embarrassed I've ever been as a Texas fan in my entire life, because I've never thought that we were those type of people to throw trash on the field. I think that as a university, that we should represent ourselves in the culture that we're building as a whole, in the whole athletic department. I think the culture is not just in the locker room, it's everywhere. And I didn't think that was good for our culture. At the end of the day, we do have, as much as other people want to say we're not Texas, we do have Texas across our chest. And a lot of people from outside the state, or maybe people that don't watch college football, they see Texas, and they associate Texas with Texas. And so, yeah, I was disappointed. I was embarrassed. There was water getting all over me. And that's when I stood up and I yelled at the people behind me. I was like, don't you effing throw bottles over my head.
Gabe is
unfortunately,
pretty
yeah, I was
animated
pissed.
in this moment, y'all. I've never seen Gage half as animated as
I
he
don't
was in
think I
that
was.
moment.
It's been a long time since I've been that angry. I work on my anger a lot, and it was been a long time, and mainly because you've got all the disabled people right below us, like where we were sitting. Right, you have the disability people, you've got the cheerleaders, you've got the staff, and these people are unknowing. And so, fortunately for us, our section didn't get too bad, other than the first couple bottles that flew right over us and soaked me. And but yeah, the students unleashed, and I hear a lot about, well, it worked. It's like I would rather lose in and obviously it didn't even matter, but I would rather lose in that play, go back and be like, oh, see, you changed the whole game with the call or whatever. But I just, yeah, I didn't agree with the moment. That was probably the most embarrassed I've ever been.
So before we go to Nash or Joseph, Gage, do you think that this is a really dumb question that I'm about to ask. Do you think that the call was reversed or changed strictly because of what the students did?
No.
Because that is what
I think the delay possibly
It was a delay.
may have caused them to rethink it and be like, okay, clearly we messed that up, guys.
Yeah,
like,
no,
there's no way that was right.
This
Yeah.
is
All
where
right,
the issue really comes from the ball. They spotted the ball. They had everybody lined up like it was ready to go. And then it's like, whoa, wait. Then the trash come on the field, and then they start talking about it.
Yes.
Right? Like they were ready to go.
The delay worked. The delay worked
right then and there. So it did delay it. Now I'm not hyping up or anything like that. That's going to be for Joseph. We'll get to him in a second. The only thing I'll have to refute on that is this is not something new for Texas fans. Maryland, Texas fans under Tom Herman, we were throwing trash on I wasn't at the game, but I remember clearly watching a bunch of trash getting thrown on the field.
Nash throws trash, y'all. It was Nash. He started it all last
year. Nash did it.
Then you also have Cal under Charlie Strong. I mean, you can't.
I feel like
I don't think that you can expect to have students be drunk and in the sun that long in the day
from 4 a.m., 3 a.m. What time?
That big of a moment.
Get to game day.
Get just absolutely screwed out of a call, and then expect them to just act rationally. I don't care what fan base it is. I don't care how classy y'all are.
Yeah,
you're drunk 21-year-olds.
I agree with you to a certain degree, and that's why I didn't sit that's why I wanted to put out I don't think a lot of people are saying, oh, it was the Texas students there, and it's like, well, first of all, the students, they kind of fed onto it. Like I said, the first couple bottles came on the field and they fed onto it. But I agree with you. They've been up since 3 a.m., 4 a.m., stuff like that. And it was a crazy call and a crazy bad game. And, but this is also a reason why they got rid of glass bottles a long time ago. Thank you, Yankees fans, for letting us get rid of glass bottles.
Something interesting is there was a punt earlier in the game where there was a hold. It was a kick return. It was the Matthew Golden kick return.
Yeah,
that flag wasn't thrown by an umpire or a referee. It either came from the Georgia bench or from the fans.
Yeah,
I think they pointed out on the broadcast. It's one of those things that if you're at the game, Ghost, we didn't notice, right?
Yeah,
No, I'm not even kidding. It is clear as day the trajectory of this thing. It's from the bench or from the fans, from a Georgia fan in the stand. Because I don't know why a Texas fan would throw a flag on it, but it's just this was clearly a flag that was you can see the trajectory, nowhere close to coming from them, unless old homeboy run down the field. 85-year-old guy whips out the Brett Favre cannon, calling something on the complete opposite side of the field. It's just the trajectory of the flag. It was nowhere near that. And then also, I just want to also do shout out the umpire. This is the guy that was probably the ref that was closest to you, Ghost. I'm not sure if you noticed it. It was on a punt. Dude, he tossed that flag with so much enthusiasm. That thing went as high as the punt. It almost was as high as my row.
I'm serious. It was 45, 50 yards in the air. I swear.
That was heck of a flag toss, my guy. Heck of a flag toss.
You got to respect that.
I've got
Go ahead, Joseph.
I've been waiting. I've got a couple thoughts here. I've been thinking a lot about it. First of all, I think it's important to note I did not personally throw any bottles onto the field myself. I think that's important to note because the last
I
time this happened
immediately
He was
blamed
just sitting
you.
there.
I was like, it's excessive.
in an SEC, the last time this happened to an SEC team was Tennessee. They got fined $1 million, and they had
Yeah.
the SEC made them go back and see who threw the bottles, and then banned them from sporting events for a year. So I personally did not throw my $5 water bottle, but I will say, so first of all, two things. One, that might have been the worst call I've seen, other than maybe that Saints Rams interference call. Like, it's up there. Like, it's that level of insanely terrible call.
That was horrible. I agree.
Secondly, that scumbag prison warden Kirby Smart, who's leading the Georgia Bulldogs, coming out in the post-game press conference complaining about endangering players a week after he shoved the opposing quarterback on the field, has to be one of the most hypocritical answers I've ever seen in a press conference. So he can, I that's insane that he of all people would complain about this. And then, I didn't throw bottles on the field. If you go back and you look at my tweets when other teams throw bottles on the field, I probably call it classless too. I probably, you shouldn't do that. You probably shouldn't do that. You probably shouldn't throw bottles on the field. It makes you look trashy, whatever. That's great. However, I think it was the single greatest student section moment that I've ever seen from the University of Texas, and I will tell you why. For my entire life, I've been told that Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium is not an intimidating environment. It's a bunch of wine and cheese fans who sit back and golf clap, and they don't get into the game. They're not excited. It's not intimidating. It's not a scary place to play. The students show up late. They leave early, or they don't show up at all. Nobody cares. Nobody gets into the game. You're not ready for Baton Rouge. You're not ready for Knoxville. Like, you're not ready to be, in these environments where people are throwing things and yelling and screaming. And guess what? We are. People care, and they showed that. And they showed that they're not going to, sit back and just, the game, whatever. I'm just here to have fun. No, they're there for the game, and they're getting into it. And I think that really, maybe it wasn't the best way to go about it. But I think that it showed that we are that level of environment. And then the other thing I'll say is that, I always like to think as well, Gage, we've got Texas across our chest. We're representing something bigger than ourselves. And I like to think that in general, we carry ourselves as a classier fan base. We're respectful to opposing fans, all this. And guess what? People still hate us and call us arrogant and classless and whatever. So I think it doesn't matter. They're going to call us that regardless of what we do. And it worked. So those
That's
are my
the thing, man.
Those are my
No,
thoughts.
thanks for getting into all of it. I appreciate that. I'll definitely say I've seen Texas students throw trash on the field in the Strong era, in the Herman era, and now this era. Texas fans have done this before. Sorry, Ingrid. I know it hurts. It's just I tweeted what I did out of selfish reason, to be honest with you, because I had to see idiots like my best friend Durag Elko in here. I love you, buddy. Thanks for watching. I have to see guys like him and his crew just tweet for 6 straight hours about how they told everyone in the SEC how right they were about us. And
yeah, but here's the thing about that. They talked for the last 3 years. A&M fans have been talking about how, well, you guys might have thought you ran the Big 12, but you're going to come in here and you've got something coming. You're not going to run the SEC. And then as soon as that call's reversed, well, we told you guys that they're going to come in and run the conference and complain and get things their way. So, I mean, you got to pick a story here, guys. I mean, come on, what are we doing?
No, I'm with you there. No, then they'll never go to a full side. But yeah, I mean, it's just it is. I think Kirby is a little bit right. Like, hey, you're endangering players. Kirby is also a massive hypocrite because look at the issues that Georgia has obviously had. That's not a knock on his team or them coming in there and kicking our ass around, because that's what that defense did to our offense. Yeah. Not he had a great plan. Like you said.
Oh, they beat us. They beat us fair and square. I mean, 100%.
That odd man front where the late stem to the zero blitz, like that's a sexy ass play design. Like that's what that was, and it worked on a 4th and short that we had to have there. Like, it was a fantastic play. I'm not making excuses. I just think it's funny that Kirby makes those comments. Durag, I swear, man, don't let me catch you on November 30th, bro. You can catch these hands the same way that Gage and I got to watch some guys catch some hands last night, post Texas and Georgia. Listen to me. I'll say this right now.
My kids to night games.
Talk trash at football games all you want, guys. Like, I get it. You can try to push buttons. You can try to rile people up. I had a pretty nice time with the Georgia fans last night. I went around and talked to a lot of them pregame. Gage and I this is after the school song has been played. We exit the stadium, are walking towards MLK, and a flood of Georgia fans kind of late, that had been hanging out, I'm sure, celebrating their win. All younger guys, most likely students. They come flooding out. Sark can get spicy. Like, I get it. Like, I'm sorry that he yelled at the cameraman when the cameraman put his hands on him. Get the fuck over that. Y'all are so lame. So lame, guys. He put his hands on Sarkisian, and Sarkisian got mad. Sorry that
literally there is
the University of Ed.
Any fan base that their coach did that, they'd be hyping up. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's my coach."
Yeah, it's so weird that that's the argument they use.
Kirby Smart shoved the quarterback of the opposing team.
I don't think he shoved the opposing.
He did it.
I watched it happen. I saw it on television.
I think he shoved
it. Like we said, Ducati, welcome. Thanks for watching and representing Georgia. We're not talking trash on Kirby. We're mostly talking about Aggies and Sooners that like to bring up that clip of Sark in the tunnel at the Alamo Bowl. Not a knock on you. We get it. I want my college football coach to be a little bit hot at times, a little spicy, whatever we want to say. Like, I don't want a guy that just sits there and is overly laid back, nonstop all the time. Give me a little bit of passion. But yeah, so the Georgia fans, kind of a late little pack or pool of Georgia fans, flood on in front of the Texas guys that are all walking, Texas fans, and right in front of Gage. I mean, they're all college age kids. They're hopping in faces of Texas fans, flexing and barking. And I mean, it's like within a couple feet away, maybe 2 to 3 feet on the closest cases.
I know exactly the group that you're talking about too.
This one, I bet you do.
There's
one Texas fan. This one Texas fan, he says something, along the lines of "get out of my face" with a lot of other language used, and that guy kind of goes to bark again and flex again, but that older man is stepping towards him while he's doing this. So they bump chest really hard. The kid barks in his face again, and the old man just in the nose, well, it's open fist, but pops him in the nose. And you got all the buddies jumping in, and even his buddies are like, "Brother, you're an asshole. What are you doing right now?"
Yeah, he was very, very intoxicated. You could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, he like came up out front and jumped in front of his face and was like barking in front of his face and kind of gave him a little push to the neck, and then that old guy, he was not having it, man. I was like, "Hey man, it's all right," and then he got mad at me too, so I think he was a little liquored up as well. But
there's honestly, like 15 people involved, and it was just a mess.
I've seen bad things happen when drunk people fight. So
nobody's in here doubting your Bulldogs, buddy. I don't know what points you're trying to get across. You got a great football team.
I think the funniest,
obviously. Hold on, Gage.
Sorry,
hadn't reached their potential yet, man. You guys look like you're starting to peak. So continue trolling in the comments. Y'all are going to be really good. Now you can go, Gage.
I think the funniest one was there was another group of college kids, and we went the wrong way. We're walking back the other way, and this kid, they were looking for a fight. They were looking for confrontation. They wanted to fight somebody out there, and he jumps in a ghost's face and goes, "Good game, buddy." And he was like, "I've never seen him work in a drunk kid's face in my entire life, bro."
He comes right in my right at my temple, and he's starting to flex, and I just throw my hand up like side dap, and don't break stride. And I was like, "Good game, dog," and just keep walking. Because I was like, I'm not that guy. If he gets all the way in my face, like, I don't trust myself. I'm going to be sitting there spending an extra night in Austin longer than I wanted to. But
I don't know how people can't separate. Like I was pissed after the game. Like, I mean, we were talking on the phone, like driving home. I was pissed, right? I was up. I was clearly like, and I wasn't pissed. I was pissed at just the performance that we had on offense, really, mainly in the first half. But I was able to go out there and talk to, like, I'm not happy that we just lost, right? But I'm still able to go out there and talk to Georgia fans and crack a smile. Like, there's life outside of this. I know a lot of people would be like they're like, oh my god, Nash is saying that. Holy crap! I thought his entire life revolves around this stuff, but no, I mean, I don't get how people can't just kind of be decent people. I do understand like the drunk stuff, but and then
I'm
also,
so glad
you know
that
what?
we
Like
got to read shit like this. Sorry, go
if
ahead.
if you're, I heard some Texas fans going, "Oh, we didn't act like this at Michigan." Who gives a shit? I mean, come on, like they won a game that was clearly a battle for. I don't want to say this. Well, this is probably for Texas. How Texas approached that last drive. This is probably a battle for about like 55 minutes, but it's they earned it. You know, let the they get to go out there and cheer.
Every time there was a play to be
exactly
made,
that.
Georgia made the play, and Texas did not make the play. Every time there was a chance for Texas to get back in the game, Quinn didn't make a throw. There was a great blitz. Georgia got pressure. Georgia did this. You know, we missed opportunities, but at the same time, Georgia did everything they needed to do in every single key situation in the game. They stopped us on third downs. They stopped us on fourth downs. They got turnovers. Like, they did everything they needed to do to go in there and get a win. And so I'm not taking any credit away from Georgia at all. Like, they're obviously a very, very good football team. And I don't think that the Chewbacca guy, I don't think we're talking about the cheer that they're doing. I think we're talking about the obnoxious ones that are barking in people's faces. That's what we're talking about. not the chants.
The UGA, the chants are all great, man. Like you guys said, awesome. We're talking post game, getting in other grown men's face and barking when you're a child, you're a college
also,
student.
I did want to point
funny.
out
It's funny.
The barking too. That didn't really start until like after the game looked like it was kind of pretty much sealed, right? And it started a little bit when I've noticed the barking never. It's very much it almost like is a great example of like where their confidence level is at the like real time level of confidence is. They're not barking when they're not confident. They're not barking when they think it's going to be a close game. But as things start to separate, that's when they start barking. And so it was really interesting to watch the Georgia fans in my section because the entire first half it was like, yeah, get louder, get louder, get louder, and then as Texas is coming back, it's like you start seeing them like looking worried, right? And then they go back to that cocky. It was like, okay, this is it was just kind of funny to watch like the progression of their moods throughout the game. But I mean, I don't know. Like I go back to I think if Texas plays a full game on offense, because if you look at there's a clear difference in how. Now this is also adjustments. This goes to like what Josh said, I believe. This is coaching, right? Like Coach Sark went out there and he adjusted to what Kirby Smart was doing. Kirby Smart had a great game plan coming in, but if we can just do anything other than 14 yards of offense, giving UGA the ball on the 13-yard line, the 28-yard line, the 34-yard line on 3 consecutive drives, and then give a one drive break, then give them the ball right back on the 30-yard line, right? That's 20 points of offense, and then in that 20 points, it's 64 yards. I mentioned the 64. 64 yards. That was over 20. I forget how many plays it was exact. Or it was. I forget the exact number per play. Yards, not yards per play, but the exact number of plays. But it was 3.72 yards per play, and the worst college football off or 3.55, and the worst college football offense in the nation is Kent State at 3.72 yards per play. So it's just. It's one of those things where the Texas defense, you cannot get mad at the Texas defense at all. And I don't know how you could watch the first half of that game and think, you know what, if Texas had any sort of offensive output, that it would. I think the real people that got robbed of anything are the people of old school football that like defensive, because this should have just been a defensive battle the entire way. This thing should have been like 13-15 score or something like that.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, all this
way better, Josh. Way better.
All that
that was the craziest home environment I've ever seen at a Texas game in my entire life.
Well, it was a lot due to the comeback too. Like it was the energy was there from the rip.
Even like at kickoff was even just that in a vacuum was the craziest I've ever seen that stadium.
I think during like when it was the third quarter and on that 3rd and 10 that I was talking about, and there was the Jade Barron, or that interception didn't happen yet, but after the Jade Barron, like just that entire stretch of when that happened, I think I actually might have had a little bit of hearing damage because it was loud and it was constantly loud. It wasn't like a peak decibel volume or anything like that. It was just constant battering your ears. I saw some poor people having to.
I should have brought my earplugs. My ears are already bad. I've already got issues. Yeah, it was loud. It was very loud. The loudest football game I've ever experienced.
Yeah, it's all silly right now. The comments are hilarious.
Yeah.
We're arguing over. It's like we're arguing over bottles being thrown versus people making contact with other people while barking in their face. I don't care if you bark in faces. That's great. It's part of it. Good for you guys. But we're talking about bottles and then guys making contact with other people while they're barking in faces. Neither one of them are okay. Quit misconstruing things, you weirdo. It's not okay. It's all good.
I very much called both things out. And said both are pretty unacceptable in my opinion.
Or Ingrid's having a box in the comments here. Go ahead, Joseph.
What do you think? Which time in the game do you think had louder booing? Was it the Jade play, or was it on the field goal when they put that emo bevo thing on the screen?
Oh my god, I hate that thing.
That that was stupid.
Whoever put that on, whatever like game production guy, that guy needs to be fired. That was the worst thing. We were like the students were booing. Like what was that?
It wasn't that loud over where we were at because there was a lot of old people that I don't think they even just like knew what the hell was going on. But it was just like that was just the people that were kind of my age, we were just like, that is the stupidest shit we've ever seen. but yes, no, definitely the part where the Jade Barron interception, the boos were loud.
It was loud.
Like the loudest part was when the official came back onto the field. Yeah, when he made that announcement, that was insanely loud.
It was just repeating the boos.
I'm friends with a couple of the cheerleaders. I felt bad because they made them go pick up all the trash, so I did feel bad. They had to go.
That's my thought on it.
The cheerleaders and all the staff that picked that up too to avoid us from getting a penalty.
Yeah, honestly, the thing
didn't get a delay game because of it.
Honestly, the thing that surprised me more than the call getting overturned was that we didn't get a 15-yard penalty the
reason why is because they were discussing it.
You think?
I think I don't know. The whole situation
here's the deal: if they were done discussing it and then the stuff still had to be cleaned up, delay of game is going to happen.
Yeah.
But also, I want to go shout out Sark because Sark
he came over.
He was not having it. No. Well, I'm just saying, like, also, if you heard, I don't know if anybody could hear what he was saying, but it is very clear.
Well, the students were not having it with him either, so they didn't appreciate him coming.
Yeah, I don't.
For better or worse. For better or worse. Like,
yeah, they look. You can be frustrated all you want about a bad offense in the first half, but
yeah, he came out in the second half.
He's our coach, he's our guy.
Yeah, of course.
I will say this, Jonathan, we're not ignoring you. I know you've made a couple of references to Vandy, score predictions, talked about the matchup. We'll have plenty of content on the channel all week about Vandy game. We'll have the pregame show Friday. Right now, we're just coping, brother. We're just sulking, complaining, chopping it up with Chewbacca, our guy in here. It's tough, man. Like I get like Nash's point, you got a lot of college kids outside drinking all day, standing in the sun, standing up, waiting in line. Like you're going to have things happen. Like I'm not saying I didn't expect things. I'm just,
when they're going to be punished.
That's the thing is like there needs to be a punishment for it so we can get it out of there in the future. And I'm gonna tell you this also, Chewbacca, like this comment, this is true. There's been a numerous amount of Texas fans saying crazy stuff because we have arguably the biggest fan base in the country. So you're always going to see. Yeah, it's okay.
Going back to Tanner's comment, he said discussing a call that was already called, announced, and marked. From everything that I've heard, I don't know if anybody's heard anything different, but the call wasn't marked yet.
It
So
looked.
even when the bottles were still being thrown,
I don't know.
it wasn't
I
knocked
don't know.
out.
It looked like they spotted the ball.
It
and were
it
about
looked like
to.
they went and put
Did
the
they?
ball on the spot, and then
Yeah, I
because
thought
Georgia
that's
was huddled. Georgia
that's
was
what I
in a
thought.
huddle.
Because
When
I
they-
saw them still walking back when the bottle started flying, and
When
so
they-
that's when I was like,
when they
I didn't see him mark
whistled.
the ball.
When they
Here, let me
whistled,
look at it again because Georgia was like,
they
It
were
was so
waiting.
hectic.
I'm
I
pretty
didn't-
sure. I'm pretty sure it was.
And when they
Yeah.
whistled, I thought they were whistling to stop it to give us a delay of game penalty.
Oh,
that's
I
didn't-
thought we were
I-
getting a penalty. Yeah, I did not expect him to say, "Hey, we changed our minds." That was crazy.
because that's not a
It's like-
reviewable play. Like
No.
it had to just be on field discussion. But from my perspective, they throw the flag, they talk about it, they announce it, they spot the ball, we're ready to play. Everybody's throwing stuff on the field, then they whistle it dead and discuss it again, and then reverse the call.
Well,
Like,
I mean, see, here's the deal. Sark was like they pointed out. Sark does not get animated on the.
He was
on the
insane. He
sideline.
was like,
Oh, yeah.
No,
losing
Sark
balls.
was chewing that the dude that made that.
He was right in
excellent
front of
toss
him.
I was
He was
talking
right
about.
in front of us. But yeah, for both teams, that was one of the worst officiated games. Not in anybody's favor. Like that's not why we lost or anything, but it was.
Yeah, the ball is definitely like.
I mean, the ETN touchdown, like on 3rd and inches or whatever. I thought he was in.
Yeah, it was hard to tell, but I mean,
That
ball
looked-
don't lie. He got in the next play, so
yeah.
Here it goes. You might be able, or I'm not gonna play. I'm not gonna play it. I'm just gonna keep it as a still shot so you don't get this demonetized or anything. But if you want to show this, if you want to show the screen,
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
ball is marked. Ball spotted.
yeah,
That's
the
it.
ball spotted
That thing's
before we
spotted.
even
There's an
stepped on.
offensive line at the line, man. They're ready to go. There is
That's
structure
crazy.
for our defense. Like hey, there's the line. There are the linebackers. There's your DBs right there.
Yeah,
They,
Yeah,
they're
we got
ready to play
guys.
ball, and then they call.
then the
Yeah.
refs off the ball and everything.
And then
Okay.
that's when you start.
All the crazy.
That's when you get the. That's when you get the bottle start throwing on the field,
Yeah.
and then you also Steve's. It's at the same time Steve Sarkisian. Look, but this is where I say like Steve Sarkisian. I think he might have had a point, with like arguing to the guy because he was like, at first he was calm. He was like, "What? How? What do you mean? Like what? Like he was asking for like a legit explanation, and then when he saw the replay on the board, when they put the replay on the board, lost it.
Yeah,
Oh, he went nuts.
yeah. I don't think any of us
Um,
are complaining about Georgia fans talking crap. I don't. That's not
No,
really.
not at-
I feel
Not
like
at
I literally just said that they earned.
Yeah, I'm sure we
Right,
did the
don't do
same
that.
stuff in Tuscaloosa last year. We did the same stuff in Ann Arbor. Like it happens. That's college football.
Yeah, we expect. We're Texas. We've been trash talked daily for
Yeah.
our entire lives. It's part of it, and part of us all being in the
Other than
social
like,
media spaces.
other than like 2 Georgia fans, like most of them were pretty good. I've encountered way worse. TCU's been way worse. Tech's been way like that. That was nothing. I thought most of them were good. So
There was we were kind of hanging out around the Georgia tunnel before the game because that's where our seats were, and like I was trying to tell Kirby that I liked his visor. I'll say that. But no, I was trying to make Kirby laugh. I'll just say that. And so I'm standing above the tunnel, and this Georgia guy walks up to me and just throws the double horns down like real hard, and I just like laugh and I like give him the old handshake, and he was just like, "You're not mad?"
It's-
like
No, it's actually funny
Like-
to watch their reaction when you don't get mad and a horns down. They're like surprised. It's like, yeah, hey, fake news, buddy.
Yeah, fake news. I really wish I wouldn't have actually did what he did because somebody is definitely going to clip that and use that against me one day. But overall, Texas offense, I think we all agree, defense played pretty well. Offense is the issue there. Turnovers really, really poorly timed. Turnovers, gave up short fields. Who played well, Joseph, in your opinion, offense, defense? You got guys that kind of stood out on either side of the ball or both?
Yeah, I don't really have an offensive game ball. If I had to pick one, maybe Gunner, but he just didn't get targeted enough. That would be my take. Like he played well when he was given opportunity to, but they just didn't have a lot of passes go his way. I mean, in the first half, I remember in the post-game presser, somebody asked Sark, hey, like, why wasn't Gunner targeted in the first half more? He's like, we didn't really target many people in the first half.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't on purpose.
We didn't have the ball.
Yeah, like, come on. But
We
on
had
defense,
wing.
on defense,
So we had like. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we had like wing T high school passing offense numbers in that first half.
bad.
It was rough. Go ahead. Sorry.
We didn't have any offensive numbers. It was under a yard per play.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Wing T teams at least pick up a few yards on the ground there.
Yeah, at least they move.
I think at one point we were rushing for 0.1 yards a carry or something like that.
Well, a lot of the rushing issues it was the sacks.
Yeah.
Like I think like Quinn had negative 40 yards in sack yardage. Not rushing college. It counts against.
Yeah.
Against. So
Yeah.
I think that.
But I mean, there was also
we didn't run the
Arch Manning took a major sack too.
Walker,
yeah. I mean, like that's the other thing too is like I love the fans on Twitter. They're like Arch Manning can do wrong. Like Arch Manning can do no wrong, right?
It's like backup quarterback syndrome.
I'm not both the quarterbacks didn't do a good job. Arch Manning took a major sack. There was one play where he had Isaiah Bond wide open, like butt naked wide open, right?
Yeah.
Just hopped out the shower, no robe on, wide open. And it's a major first down in the first half. He doesn't get the ball, or he doesn't get it, and I think the next play he fumbles the ball. It's like, look, you can't miss open guys. You can't take a huge sack and like trying to run away. You got to throw that ball away, right? And I think these are all things that Arch Manning would agree on. And you can't fumble the ball.
Yeah,
that's not a good performance.
No. But yeah. I mean, I don't know if we'll talk about it later about the flip-flopping of the quarterbacks, but I was not a fan of that.
I didn't mind it because Quinn wasn't like Quinn was. I put out like a tweet like saying like I said, because on the show I said it has to be bad, and that was like 14 yards. I think at the very least there just needed to be a change, and I mean just a change in gears, right? Just a change in direction,
a spark or something like that, but I don't know. On defense, I'm going Jahdae Barron. I thought he played really well. I mean, our secondary. I mean, like we talk about our defense playing great. I still don't think our defensive line played that well, but I think our secondary was really, really, really good, which was one of our keys to the game on Friday. Coming in was that was a strength, and they showed up and they played really well, and they got screwed because like we've said 4 times today, like if you look at the Georgia drive chart, it's punt, interception, scoring when they got the ball at the 13, scoring when they got the ball at the 25, scoring when they got the ball at the 38. It's like, how much are you going to demand of your defense? I thought they played really well. And Jahdae, I thought played well. Those are my guys.
I mean,
Jahdae did play well, really well. Go ahead.
I was telling you on the call back, I felt like if we won, I'm sitting here touting. I'm like, yeah, Gunnar Helm, offense player of the game, Jahdae Barron. Those are my 2 picks, and it's like you mentioned, like that. If we win that game, that Jahdae Barron play is known as the play till the end of time, like until Texas sports isn't Texas sports anymore or anything like that, right? So. Game ball, and on defense, I think there's multiple game balls that have to go out too, because the defense really showed out. They did their job. I know 30 points is on the board, but if you're saying that the defense played bad or I played anything less than elite, you're just box score. You're just box score scouting. Like you didn't watch the game. You didn't watch football be played, and I think that obviously Jahdae Barron. Right there. Andrew Makuba needs to be added to the list. Michael Taft needs to be added to the list. Though Michael Taft was he had a couple of missed tackles.
That play that he had where they threw the ball over the middle and he hits the guy and he drops a pass was great. That was a game-saving play at that time in the game.
Michael Taft Michael Taft just doesn't give a shit about his body.
He's a gamer.
I'm convinced about that. That dude does not care if he's going to end up in a wheelchair in 5 years. Like he's he's out there running full speed into heavy collisions, and then also the defensive line. I mean, the defensive line was doing their thing. They were getting pressure. They were like, you go look at Carson Beck's line, 24 for 41, 175 yards, 4.3 yards per attempt, 3 interceptions. This is a team that passes the ball well. Like they are a good passing offense. So this was like the whole thing was, can the passing defense hold up against this Georgia passing offense? And they did. And then also Anthony Hill, I know there was a couple plays that weren't really that great, but I mean, he had some. If we have any offense in the first half, these guys are all like deserving. These guys are all in competition for one game ball. And it's a shame that they can't. It's a shame that this performance from them goes wasted in a loss.
Yeah, I think in the first half, I think the defense struggled a little bit with open field tackling. Open field tackling in the first half, they struggled a couple times. But other than that, I mean, they were dominant.
I don't know. I'm just gonna have to vehemently disagree on that one.
There was a couple times in the first half where there was a couple open field tackles where we could have stopped them for 2-3 yards. They ended up getting like a 10-yard chunk on a couple of those.
I mean, there was one from Holmes that I can think of, and I just cut this thing up. There's one from Holmes that I can think of, but I
can't wait to watch. It makes it a lot easier when I can watch it before this
because they.
Yeah. No, I understand.
This is a top 25 offense that they went out there and played, and it's a damn shame because we talk about this completely different if it's a W.
Yeah, but defensively, I'll do Makuba because we already did Barron, and I thought Makuba had that nice interception. And the whole secondary played really good. In the second half, our physicality ramped up on defense. They did a really good job. Everybody stayed super disciplined. The second half of the defense in the second half was like lights out. I mean, other than that one drive where they had like the trick play and the stuff like that, but they were lights out. They were flying around. It was awesome to see them match the physicality, like match the challenge. The defense the entire game was really good. So, and then offense, I'm gonna go Blue just because he didn't get that much time last week and he got some more time. I wish he would see more time. I understand that the issues with the fumbles and people are worried about it.
Did he get a carry?
He absolutely adds an element to the offense that the other backs we have just don't add. And so it was good to see him make a couple of big plays and like hold on to the ball and get some confidence back because I really think we're going to need him later in the year. So it was good to see. So I'll give it to Blue there. I thought that was
we need to use Blue a lot more.
Yeah, he's
so the only reason why I didn't even consider him for a game ball was from how little we used him. We didn't use him until, like, to your point, Joseph. He didn't have a single carry.
There was a couple times.
I think that he has to be at this point. He has to be fumbling the ball in practice because he felt like he didn't have any ball security issues versus Oklahoma. There was maybe one play where I'm like, "Ooh, that might have gotten close."
Yeah, ironically, Wisner did fumble against Oklahoma.
Yeah, but it's just. Jaden Blue, you saw what he did to that Georgia defender in space. How many examples do we need to see of Jaden Blue doing that to defenders in open space to realize that at the very least, if Texas is not doing anything, all you need to do is have Jaden Blue in the flat and have him on a one-on-one, and you can go and pick up probably 7 yards per play on average over 10 plays doing that throughout the game. And it's just like we only used him when it was an absolutely first short passing down and there was no ifs, ands, buts or about it. Ifs, ands, or buts about it, but yeah.
The Trey Wisner drop early in the first half, that hurt a little bit. The play call was there. Looked like we kind of had fake screen to one side and kind of went back with like a middle screen type action. That hurt, man. It looked like there was a lot of room for Quintravion to get down the field.
And then Quinn missing Blue on that second to last drive, I think. It was just a touch too far in front of him. And it was the same route that Blue scored on before.
The fourth quarter, there were a couple of those drives that we really, really, really should have scored and couldn't. I mean, Quinn missed the guy. There was one where I want to say Wingo was like
It was Wingo. I know what you're talking about.
And we checked it down instead. And I don't know if that's just he's not going through his progressions or if it's that he lost his confidence because he got pulled in the first half and he doesn't want to make that throw, or I don't know what, but that should have been a touchdown too.
I think, like I put out a tweet. I think Quinn is lacking. Like I don't know if it's 100% healthy, but
He's not going up in the pocket because I think he's scared to get injured again.
he's
think-
that's so that if you look if you do research on the oblique injury, there's a decent chance of re-injury in baseball.
I'm not
And
convinced.
this is primarily a baseball injury. So I mean, like I can understand where there would be some hesitant, because here's the deal: if I can Google that and I can go look at some studies from baseball, some health studies on baseball and the injury. I promise you, the doctor's probably already told him all the information that he needs to know. So
A lot of the time I thought he's either still hurt or he's nervous to get hurt and he doesn't have the confidence back. And I think the big one, especially the stepping up in the pocket, a lot of times he would find one guy and be like, "Oh, I'm in trouble," and he would duck and run. But the big one was the Wingo, the fourth down, obviously the play that we've all seen at this point. Yes, are there two Georgia guys coming free? Sure. But Wingo, there is nobody in the middle of the field. The safety dropped back. That guy took the middle linebacker took. It was wide open and for a first down, and it was like fourth and I can't remember what exactly.
I don't think he had enough time. I don't think he had enough time. I agreed with you. I agreed with you.
You got.
I agreed with you, but I'm telling you, like watching it back, I do not think he had enough time.
I think he's got to make that throw. You can't go off your back foot and
Unless he's Superman, he can start hovering above the defenders. I don't know if he
I
can.
agree. I'm a Quinn guy, but like there was obviously times where it's like, unfortunately, like that's football. It's a contact sport, and you have to be able to stand in the pocket at times. And I don't think that Quinn was comfortable doing that. And whether it's he's nervous about an injury or he still is hurt, it definitely became obvious at times that he seemed to be a little bit nervous about getting hit.
Ghost, who are your game balls?
Offensively, I think for me, only could be Gunner. I think Gunner balled out. He really did. I wish we did. Like said earlier, I wish we had targeted him 20, 25 times. He seems to always make plays. Defensively, Ant had his moments. He missed a couple tackles in open field at times, but I mean, overall played pretty dang good. I still probably go with Jade. The leader of a dang good secondary. They held him 175 yards on was it 41 attempts? 31.
Two interceptions.
Yeah, I mean
41 attempts, 175.
And then like there was a really good play on the ball that he made. Like Jade, like he's already made himself some money. This game, he just made himself even more money.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's got himself a good nice vacation on.
Him coming back was a great decision by him.
Chewbacca
come back, but playing quarterback specifically.
Yeah.
Chewbacca. That's because the Georgia fans sold all their tickets and didn't fill up their section in the lower bowl. So that's
and in the lower bowl, there was tons of guys in the corner. I don't know what he's talking about. I thought we did give them tickets because they were all in one.
We
section.
gave them. Yeah, they have that section on the end where the students used to be. On the south corner.
Yeah, that's where they were all at, which was in the lower bowl. So that's just not even true.
All right, I have one.
I was gonna say something similar to that, Chewbacca, but I was gonna be a little nicer. There's Georgia fans scattered all out the stadium, lower bowl, like they were everywhere. There's a lot of them over by the Georgia tunnel. That's where we were, the tunnel that you came out on the field and back off the field on. There were a lot of Georgia fans that had pretty dang good seats there, not just in the upper deck. So don't always believe all the old Big 12 horror stories about what Texas fans do to opponent fans and bands. But UGA, their punter was lights out. I'll give them credit there.
Also, I actually want to talk about special teams really quickly because I think that is a big problem for us. Like their punter was really good. I don't know if anybody paid attention to. I was a kicker in high school, so I paid attention to this. Our punter Ryan Sanborn got hurt during a bye week somehow. That's why we had our backup play his first ever college football game last week against OU. And when we were backed up on the 21-yard line. We had a 36-yard punt. That's not acceptable at this level. And that, like, we talk about giving bad field position because of turnovers in this game. You can't also do that on special teams. Like, that's not okay. So that's something we need to clean up. And I feel like I jinxed it in the pregame show talking about how I thought we'd have a punt return for a touchdown. He needs to, I don't know what he's doing back there, but like he had the one that he muffed out of bounds. He's, catching the ball with a guy in his face and getting hit where he could fumble the ball. Like, we need to figure out special teams because it does not look good. Bert Auburn hasn't looked good this year either. Special teams is a problem. So that's
I brought up special teams as well last night we were walking back. I'd have to look at the updated stats to see like where we rank net yards wise. But we're one of the worst. But I was
why are we taking back kicks when we're 10 yards deep in the end zone? I mean, what are we doing?
I was confident that we would get better because I felt like, hey, we just had some penalties on some bigger returns earlier in the year, and so maybe that's a little flawed. But yeah, our special teams has not looked good.
I'll say, Warren Roberson.
Say it.
He got his ass chewed out, and there was actually I actually think that Jeff Banks might have been so hot on this because there was 2 holds from Warren Roberson, and there was a hold from Warren Roberson on a play where we didn't even return the ball. He just tackled the dude.
Yeah.
WWE, and I felt like I saw Terry Joseph going over to talk to him afterwards. I'm like, yeah, no. Jeff Banks probably told Terry, "You go talk to him. I'm gonna attack the kid or something like that." Because Jeff Banks was hot. He was hopping mad. Yeah, I'm just the rest of the special teams and the punter. I'm just gonna decline to comment.
And the gun and
I'm here to avoid a fine.
And the gunners running down the field, like to give him credit, Ian Ratlett had one great punt that bounced inside the 5, and the gunners just let it roll into the end zone for a touchback. It's like what are they doing in practice? Like, are we even we're just sending guys out there and letting them run down the field? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't have the same exact concerns regarding special teams. I don't know what's going on right now. We'll have to talk about that later. I'm just overly confused. I'm still. I mean, like Silas is attempting to make a play. Matthew Golden attempt to play. To my looking at it is that these are 2 guys trying to make plays while our offense is just literally stuck in the mud, maybe in reverse, getting absolutely nothing accomplished. I know the holding call on Golden sucks. That's tough. It was a good call. Great. And so, yeah, I don't know. I like Jeff Banks. I like the special teams. I don't think we need to change anything out. I get, I don't know. There's lots of nitpick right now on a day like today.
Jeff Banks is one of the best. He's one of, if not the best special teams coach in the country. I'm not.
He's probably the best special teams coordinator in the country. Like
he's going to have a head coaching job very soon here, if not next year. So I think he actually turned down a head coaching opportunity to stay here.
I like Banks a lot, especially after
Banks is my guy, man. I love Banks.
I hear. I was a little snippy with Gage last night when he started slandering special teams, and
he was right.
I'm still hoping it'll get better, but it has to get better. Like, we can't be this bad.
Hey, speaking of the Dasani water balls,
don't throw it at us. Primetime dog. We have not a consensus decision on how we feel on this. I think it's pretty rough. At the same time, it was maybe 0.05% of the crowd, and I know that you guys in the SEC are probably going to think that we suck as fans without the throwing of the trash or with it. Either way. But I don't condone it. Joseph's a student, so he's a little more fiery about it. He was really mad at the call.
Yeah, prime time dog. It sounds like you're not. It sounds like you're not SEC ready, man. I don't know. Like,
Oh my!
it sounds
I've
like
been SEC ready for a long time without embarrassing myself on national television in front of all my friends and family, and possibly getting removed from any further sporting events for the rest of the year on the 40 acres. I am beyond SEC ready. The Longhorns tattooed over my heart. Please don't.
I think
question it.
Joseph is in one of these situations where he's okay with other people throwing it, but he's not going to.
I'm
Yeah,
not
that's
gonna do
exactly what it is.
I'm not going to do it. Yeah, I'm
He
not.
says, you can throw it on my behalf.
Yeah, here, take my bottle. Like, you take it.
Yeah, and like I said, I get it. Like Ganesh said, and Joseph, like you got that many students going through what they went through pregame, saying they're fired up, and we want our kids to be fired up. Like I'm not sitting there saying that they are, terrible people because of what they did. Like it's not like that. I'm just like, let's not give all of you guys that are in here visiting us in Austin, you Georgia fans, all the Aggies checking in, watching, that were literally just all my comments last night. No, not very many Georgia fans, not very many Sooners. Aggie. I think I unfollowed like 300 Aggies. I've played way too nice to them. They want me to be a villain. I'm gonna be a villain now.
I'm convinced if
All-
Texas and Texas A&M were playing at the same time, they would watch our game instead of their game.
What's the goal of throwing the bottle on the field? Right? What's your goal here? Are you
To
trying to hit
reverse the
somebody?
ball. The goal was clearly to
That's
get the
assault, brother.
referee to discuss. It was very thought through. I mean, this was
Yeah.
clearly a rational decision made collectively by 10,000 drunk people to throw the water bottles. They'll stop the play and they'll all go discuss, and then they'll reverse it.
The one thing I love is like the sheep mentality, the herd mentality. There's one that goes, and there's a couple that go, and then it's like, all right, yeah,
It's
screw it.
the
We all go.
exponential growth of the water bottle throwing
Yes.
Until there was no more bottles. Well, no, see, then there were the people that saved their bottles for after.
Well, then you're sitting there and you're like, wait, I just spent $12 on this beer and I just threw it on the field. Well, that wasn't very intelligent.
Dude, the ref almost got hit when he was making the call.
Really?
I got drenched.
Behind the Georgia bench. The first couple came.
No,
behind
this is not from the Georgia bench. This is not from the. This
No,
is from
not-
the Texas side.
No, from the. I thought the first couple came from behind the Georgia bench in the stands. I don't know who threw them, but that's where it looked like the first couple came from. But I don't know. It got crazy, man. So I can't recollect everything from that moment.
We got not soaked or anything. Definitely got pretty wet
Yeah.
from water, beer. I don't know what it was, but I was like, deep breaths, because I've been there. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like Joseph, let me defend the trash goobers with this. Like 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, in that moment, I've told everybody before on this channel, like y'all think I'm the nicest guy in the world now. Like 15 years ago, I was an asshole as a fan. And I'm not saying that I would have done that, but I know that I used to get very, very riled up at games. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I wouldn't have acted crazy. And that's not to defend you guys. It's just saying, like, they cared. They got passionate.
Yeah.
I hope they learn from it and don't do it again, is all.
Well, they're going to learn from it because they're not going to be able to come back. They're going to come down on them. So.
Yeah, by the end of the season,
everything just worked out nice. Let's never do it again. Everything worked out
Yeah.
perfectly. Let's never do it ever again.
Yeah.
We are never going to have a better scenario, and never going to have a better ending than that.
I'm tired of us. We have now, since I've been in school, the top 3 most attended games in Texas history have been while I was a student.
Yeah.
And we lost all 3.
Yep.
And ironically, I think that the game yesterday, the game that it reminded me the most of was the TCU game in 2022. We just happened to be playing a much better team. So they scored more points and we lost by more. But it reminded me a lot of that game where our offense can't do anything. Our defense kind of keeps in it a little bit. We just didn't get any defensive points. Like that's what really.
At least in 2022, we were able to punt the ball away and not give them the ball
Yeah, but it was
in
also
field goal range. I mean, like you look at if you look at where their points coming from, it's not from moving the ball down the field. So
Right.
this that's actually a really good game, and that's why I say like a good game for a reference, because that's why I say like old school fans of football, they're gonna like they got robbed, because this should have been just a defensive battle between two powerhouses. I mean, here's the deal. Georgia has not been a good defensive team coming. When I say not good, not to the Georgia level standard. They came in at the Georgia standard. That was the standard. And whether our team, because here's the deal: if our team was, obviously you do film, right? If our team was going solely off of what Georgia was putting on film, I can see how they might have been like, oh wait, what's this team like? Hey, these guys aren't missing tackles.
Well,
I like what we were
wanna
expecting
bring up-
something different, right?
I want to bring up an interesting point just real quick, just because I want to hear y'all's thoughts. Obviously, Kirby Smart, we know how I feel about him. Not a big guy. I don't really believe in his whole culture building tactics. It's working to win football games. I'll give him that, but never been a big Kirby fan. But I do want to bring up something in his interview at the end of the game at the last part. Obviously, the first part's the one that's getting clipped, but the last part he said, "We came here with intent to eat. We didn't come here to take pictures and have time with celebrities and do all this stuff. We came to eat." Do y'all think? I'm just asking. Do y'all? Because I thought that was an interesting comment. Do y'all think that the hype and the stuff? And I know Joseph, you brought up in the past, it's more of a Sark's trying to build a more of an early 2000s USC than he is in Alabama. So do you think that has any effect on the mindset, especially in the first part of the game? Obviously, the defense didn't have a problem with it, but do you think that has anything to do with the mindset when? Because it was like a movie. Like there was all these stars on the sideline.
I think that's really ironic from a guy that flew out Quavo the rapper to be on the sidelines in an away game. So I don't really think that, I coming from this guy, like I think that's just
it's hard to take anything.
Also, like, here's the deal, Joe. Like,
this is king of narratives. This is king of narratives. Kirby Smart. Like, I wouldn't care about it too much. Yes, like we've got celebrities on the sideline, and yes, we have like, was it Santana's keyboard guy that was the halftime? Whatever, I don't know, but like I don't think that that's affecting the play.
Also, last I checked, it worked out pretty well with the UFC. It didn't really
work out well with
play on the field.
But yeah, going back to the Kirby thing, like obviously I respect the mastermind as he is a football coach. But personally, for me, I have a son, and he probably won't play Division I football. But if he did, Kirby would not be the type of guy that I would go send my son to play for.
I mean, Kirby Smart is one of the best college football coaches of this era.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean he's a morally bad person. Like it's just a bad guy.
I won't say.
I don't want to ruin it all, but like most coaches are known to be a little bit of an asshole. Okay, like
I mean, you can be an asshole. Like that's fine.
I know you're drawing
scenes too. Like there's just so much going on at that program.
Where do you? I mean, like I don't want to get too into Georgia. Like it's not a rival. Like it's nothing to do with the game. But I think there's just so many problems there beyond even the arrest problem. Like there's just a lot of problems there.
Yeah,
it's not even worth discussing.
Kirby's a great pumper. He pumped his team up and he had them ready to go.
He's the king of narratives. I've never seen a guy that went undefeated and was favored in every game, go into after the national championship game, say that they were underdogs, like that everyone thought they were going 7-5. Like he's the king of narratives. Great. He's probably the best guy at that. But if you're Georgia and you are favored in every game and you win every game, you've got to have a coach that can get your guys up for the game, and he's very good at it. There's probably nobody better at it than him.
Yeah.
Shout out, Mom, checking in. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Awkward timing here as we've got a fight off about to go down. So this is why you guys want to watch what you say on here, man. Y'all open the door. Now we got the whole alcohol talk, and now we're battling.
Here's the deal. I do. Look, hold on. I want to say these two over here are the ones that think that Kirby was intentionally tackling a player. I don't.
No,
and then our special teams are bad too. That side, okay.
If you watch, yeah. This is good special teams right here, okay? It's like good versus bad, all right? But it's like a debate stage. But so what I was gonna say is I don't really like I know a lot of Texas fans think that, and it's really not just Texas fans, it's anything other than Georgia fans. Kirby was animated, either talking. I forget whether it was talking to, like he was yelling at one of his players. He was animated, like he's a very animated guy, right? He doesn't do things calmly, and he just ran into to the opposing team. I don't think he actually went and tried to let me shove this little You know,
Well, he
I don't
did.
think it was one of those
He
situations.
did shove it.
You got to be an idiot to do that shit as
Like,
a head coach.
I don't think he ran down there like, I'm going to go shove this quarterback. But
I
he
think
did
he was in
run
the
down
way.
there. And then,
But to intentionally shove a quarterback in any way, shape, or form as a head coach would just be
Listen, he
stupid.
apologized. He
Like
apologized
beyond
for
stupid.
it, even if he did do it in the heat of a moment, which he might have. He apologized for it, and like I said, I don't think
Yeah.
Kirby's a morally bad guy. I think he's probably a great dad. He's a great father. Like he's probably a great. I don't know if he's married. Probably a great husband. I think he's all those great things, and he's a great football coach. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's different, but a great football coach. Obviously, he's a winner, and he does his kids do take his mentality. And Kirby's very intense, and they were very intense, and they came out and won because of it. So he's a great football coach, and he schemed up Sark. So yeah, he had some good schemes on the defensive front.
Prime, if you think Texas looks soft, you should have seen us like 5 years ago, bro.
Yeah,
real bad.
Yeah,
Or if you think if you think these fans look soft, you should have seen them 5 years ago. It's tough out there, man. So yeah, like guys, like he didn't push the kid on purpose. Y'all are crazy if you think he pushed the kid on purpose. I was in that camp for about 10 minutes until you watch more and more clips of it and you see Schumann, you understand what was going on the field. Like now the driving stuff, like if you want to use that as your crutch to go at Kirby,
Yeah,
I get that.
Fair game. Fair game on that.
I get that.
I mean, it's
the
even
play on the
beyond
field.
that. Like, there's more. It's like they have the lowest graduation rate by like 30% of any school in the FBS. It's insane. Like there's nothing, like everything off the field in that program is disgusting. It's insane.
I like that, Jeff. That's
pretty
true.
Funny right there.
Do you need to go to your room?
That's good. Yeah, man. Fun times. Georgia, hey, you guys watching this, you Georgia folks, I really appreciate you being in there chopping it up, withstanding some of our coping that we've had going on.
None of this has to do, by the way, with them beating us. Like, he's a great football coach, and we lost fair and square. Like, that's not what I'm saying.
Oh, no. To make your point, you've said those exact same things for weeks, you know, when you've been on and on Twitter and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, Georgia won the game. That's ultimately it. It was cool to have Georgia come to DKR, to have the type of atmosphere that, you know, we didn't get very often when Big 12 teams came here, or ever when they came here. And it kind of stinks that, you know, it played out the way it did. But, I mean, pretty dang good day overall. Tailgating was fun. I will say this. The tweet that I posted about the narratives, that we could kill some narratives, I never thought it would draw any type of reaction, to be honest, not from outside fan bases, because I just said we can kill some narratives today. I never said, like, hey, we're going to go accomplish this today, and we're about to end all these narratives. And
I thought we did kill two of those narratives. I thought we did.
That's my point.
Like,
that's what I was about to say.
The defensive narrative, we definitely killed. Our defense is
and it was a tough environment to play in. Like but that was true.
I thought DKR showed out. Nash, were you impressed with DKR?
This was I've been a season ticket holder, and I've been to every game in the Steve Sarkisian era. No game has come close to this.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Like just the energy going in the energy going into the stadium, right? Like it was, we were ready. This was a legit SEC. Yeah, look, hey, and I was actually just about to say this too.
Hopefully,
this would be the most A&M thing for them to ever do in the world. We don't need them to, right? But there is a scenario where we could get left out of the SEC championship potential, because A&M loses to LSU. It's just if LSU goes undefeated through the rest of the regular season, then we're just gonna have to sit there and watch LSU versus Georgia.
I mean, if they do though, like the way the SEC's been, like if you run the schedule in SEC, like I think like you deserve, just the way the SEC's been. It's been so crazy that I think it's going to be hard for anybody to.
Well, I'm just saying it would be the most Aggie thing in the world for them to lose for the game that they lose in between. If they lose a game, the rest of in between now and when we play them,
it would be the one
they lose to LSU. That would be the most Aggie thing in the world, because it would be like for baseball fans that remember in 2023 when A&M was playing in the regional at Stanford. All they had to do was if they won the regional, we host a super regional at the Dish. and A&M loses, and they were in the winners bracket, and that like it's rare for a team to lose. It was just one of those things. And then we had to go to Stanford, and then we lose on like the final out. It's just
because of the lights.
Because of lights. Yeah.
yeah. No,
You got
well,
A&M and us
still, I know
both.
that sounds like a stupid excuse, but that like California, get your shit together, man. Like light pollution's happening. Y'all, you know what? Los Angeles is probably one of those cities responsible for that. So
That situation in the Stanford outfield with the lights is a joke. No
job
D1
by that
baseball
kid.
games
yeah.
should
Angling
ever
those
be played there.
lights is going to save the light pollution.
Really, really dumb. What are you talking about here, buddy? Quinn lose to
No,
LSU.
we're saying that if
If
lose
LSU wins out, we don't get
LSU,
in.
LSU would go in over us.
Yeah,
we
LSU's undefeated right now in the SEC.
So
we need A&M to win.
Want is for A&M to go undefeated, and then we beat them.
Yeah.
And then we would have a head-to-head tiebreaker over them.
And we don't need that. I mean, LSU could still lose to some other team like Alabama, or I think like let me see who else they play. They play Texas A&M, Alabama, Florida. They're going to win that. Maybe Vanderbilt, Oklahoma. They're going to win that. So I mean, like, it's just if LSU wins out, it is what it is. We miss out, but I mean, A&M. It would just be this would be the most A&M thing in the world for their loss to benefit them in some way to keep us from winning the.
Yeah, I think Pride Time Dog is right. We need to worry about Vanderbilt. I mean, not that I don't think that we're obviously a very
no.
good
I
team.
actually, my hot take is that I think we might have actually, if we won this game, we might have lost versus Vanderbilt.
Yeah, that's gonna. I mean, I'm not
Alabama.
let's we need to lick our wounds, and this is what the SEC is all about. Like, you got to lick your wounds. You just had a really physical game for 4 quarters and you lost, and it's like you can't. There ain't no time. Like, that's also the best part is I woke up this morning and I was like, well, the season's still on. You know what I'm saying?
It's no different than any other league. The only thing that's really changed is the only reason why that feels kind of different is because of the college football playoff. There's 12 teams.
Yeah,
we don't. Gone are the days of undefeated teams.
Yeah.
You know what the perfect trap game is this year that I've been worried about since July, though? Like, obviously, like Vanderbilt, I'm worried about the Kentucky game. I know they looked terrible yesterday, but like the week before A&M, the week after Arkansas, like I think that's the perfect spot for us to struggle against a team that we're looking past. That's what I would worry about.
I want to buy in the playoffs. I know some fans want the home game.
I want to buy.
I want that buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you would take a buy.
More rested, no risk of injuries, like
less film.
I mean, and not just that, but Florida. Yeah, we got Florida in 2 weeks, and DJ Lagway looks talented, and Florida looks more well put together than we thought they were going to be.
They're getting better every week.
Yeah,
they're getting better every week.
And DJ Lagway he's young, and we can force him into some mistakes, hopefully. But he's
Florida's a really good football team.
I am not about to hype up a Billy Napier led forward team.
That's the problem.
They're 4-3, man.
No.
I didn't think they win another game.
Back-to-back games have penalties for having players wearing the same number on a field goal kick or something. It's just like the mistakes that they're look. I'm not worried about Florida.
Ran for 5. Jaden Ball ran for 5 touchdowns yesterday for Florida.
Don't care.
It's Kentucky.
My first he was the coach of Louisiana for my first game as a student.
Yeah.
Crazy.
The Hudson Card led Texas Longhorns in 2021.
Possibly the hottest day on the planet at DKR, hottest day ever at DKR. That was a scorcher. But all right, anything else you guys bring up, comment, talk about regarding Texas and Georgia? We got all week to talk about Vanderbilt and Nashville.
Yeah, well, I just got one last thing. Like I said, it definitely. I had a long 2-hour drive home last night, and then I slept like 4 hours. And I got up in the morning, and but I will say this: like, the talent level is still so there. I think we all agree on that. Like the talent level for Texas is still there, and it's little things that need to be cleaned up. But yeah, I think the good thing is when I woke up this morning, I was like, well, the season's not over. These guys are going to get back to practice tomorrow, and we've talked about the culture under Sark and what the culture has been, and we're going to really find out here over these next couple weeks if we've been just buying in or if it's for real. So, which I still believe it's totally for real. So, yeah, I'm excited. There's still a lot of football left to be played. So,
Yeah, I mean,
Boys,
I
anything
don't know.
else?
Like my final thoughts out of Vandy or not Vandy, out of Georgia heading into Vandy. One, I'm glad that we got this out of the way because it's going to wake this offense up and wake up Steve Sarkisian a little bit. But I don't feel much different as a fan as far as expectations and what the season, how the season is going to go. Outside of the only way that this would have changed if we won, the only difference would be I would be posting memes. that's literally the only difference.
Yeah, we got hit in the mouth, and now we know what our weaknesses are and what we need to fix. And Sarkisian's a really good coach. And,
Ironically, the offense. Ironically, the offense.
Right.
Who'd have thunk? Who'd have thunk
Right.
it?
But now we
And that's
know, and I think like we have arguably it's ironic to say this after that game. I still think that we have probably the best offensive play caller as our coach. So I think we'll be just fine.
I mean, the adjustment in the second half was great. I mean, the plays were there.
yeah,
I think
Execution.
it could be a giant just overall wake up call for the offense, just in general, as far as like what you're dealing with when you see an elite SEC defense. Obviously, they had the game last year against Alabama, but I mean Georgia's played better defense than those guys traditionally over the last 3 or 4 years. O-line, this is like, they had to have lost a little bit of sleep yesterday. I'm sure film's not going to be fun. Like, definitely the penalties, Nash, you and I talked about that, the false start penalties. Like, a lot of it, as you said, Gage, these are correctable things, very fixable things. So we have the talent, we have the coaching. And so my advice to Texas fans is just to not be so reactionary. Like, we play in the best league in the world now as far as college football goes. There will be lumps at times, okay? And this is the first run through it, and Georgia's lost 3 times in the last, 3 seasons. It's all been to the same program. Just got to figure out how Alabama does it. But, yeah, we'll see what goes down. Texas is the way I look at it. I mean, that's kind of your mulligan's gone. You might have one more in there, but just go worry about Vanderbilt. You're better than everybody you're about to see on your schedule. Should be. So, like Nash said, no changes. No switch up on expectations or belief on what this team can accomplish, guys. I think it's all still right there for us. Just an ugly Saturday night at DKR. Credit the Dogs for that because they kicked their butt.
And hopefully Andrew Makuba's all right. We get good news. And it looked bad at first, but then he walked off the field, so hopefully he'll be all right. And also to Georgia fans watching this, hopefully we see y'all in Atlanta, and if not, hopefully, I can make the trip to Athens next year because I think that'd be pretty lit. So,
all right, guys. Well, y'all appreciate you guys all watching and being here. If y'all don't mind, throw a quick like on this video. We got over 200 Twitter views on there. YouTube views on this and like 5 likes. So y'all go do that real quick. Show these guys some love. Not easy to get on here and talk about your team getting absolutely punched in the mouth by the old Georgia Bulldogs. But here we are, an hour and a half in. Everybody did great. We'll see y'all next time. Unfortunately, I will be on this channel tomorrow settling up a bet I made with John Smith, the Bulldog fan, and I am not happy about it. I will just say that. So tomorrow night, watch me embarrass myself in front of my friends. And until then, it's always hook 'em horns.
that's a